Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Howard Center, the Howard Auditorium. As you can see, the county did an absolutely marvelous job with this building. We're here tonight with a great deal of excitement, anticipation to hear and to meet our ULI staff. And the big thing that they want to do tonight is hear from you and hear what you think they need to know as they begin to come up with a plan for this site. So, but first of all, I'd like to thank several groups of people. First of all, Mayor and Council from the City of Georgetown, if you would please stand. Our County Council members, if they would please stand. And not most of all, but a very important part of this equation is our sponsors. If our sponsors that made this happen, please stand. We also want to thank the gentleman from AMI Kids, which is just located on the south of Georgetown, for being our ushers tonight. We really appreciate them being here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not here to hear me talk tonight. I would like to introduce the chair of the ULI staff, Alex Rose.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I want to thank you all, add my thanks to the city and the county and the sponsors for inviting ULI Panelists to be here, spend a week with you. It is for us as ULI members, this is a great privilege and honor, and we cannot thank you enough. And most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. We'll talk about it a little bit more as the evening goes on, but the involvement and the presence of the community in these processes is really from my high school Latin days, I believe it was called the sine qua non, which means if it doesn't happen, then whatever we're about to do doesn't happen either. So a big thanks to each of you. For those of you, let me give, as Paul said, this is about us listening to you, not us talking, but I am going to ask you to indulge us for a few minutes here so we can talk a little bit about who we are, get to know us a bit, what we're going to do this week. We have an interesting guest with us that is well known to folks in this area, and then we will all collectively, as I like to say, shut up and do the most important part, which is listen to you. So for those of you who do not know about the Urban Land Institute, we like to think of ourselves as the leading land use organization in the world. We have about 38,000 members globally, including about 500 here in the state of South Carolina. And our members are developers and owners and investors and planners, architects, public officials and academics, and we're really unique amongst real estate and land use organizations because of the multiple disciplines that we represent, as well as a culture which emphasizes sharing and learning from one another. And that really is the essence of what this week is all about. The panel that you've got before you comes together as volunteers for this week. They bring a tremendous amount of experience and expertise in issues which we believe are applicable to circumstances and opportunities and challenges that we're going to discuss with you and discuss with ourselves about Georgetown this week. They share it with each other, so there's a learning opportunity amongst ourselves, and then we share it with the community, hopefully spreading all of that collective brain power to do something really great. And this process is one that ULI has been doing as its primary outreach for almost 70 years and just under 700 panel assignments over that period. So it's a very, very effective tool. I certainly commend the community for having the foresight, good sense, I like to say, to ask us to come in. And I hope that when we leave on Friday, you feel that it will have been a good time, good use of your time and a good direction in terms of taking next steps. So what I would like to do is have each of the panelists take a minute, and if anyone wants to call them out, if they get there in 101 seconds, you have my permission, and just briefly introduce themselves to you so you know who's working in the community here. Ross?
Make sure this is working. Very good. Good evening, I'm Ross Tillman. I'm from Seattle. I'm a transportation planning consultant there. And I work with communities across the country, both large and small, on helping them solve their traffic, transit, parking, and pedestrian problems. So anything to do with circulation, I help with. And that's involved historic districts, parks, zoos, gardens, community-wide development, new communities, the whole gamut. So it's a great pleasure to get to know your community, and I look forward to hearing from you tonight and through the rest of the week.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Seeloff. I come from Oakland, California. I'm the executive director of a national nonprofit called the Center for Creative Land Recycling. We work with communities across the country, communities like Georgetown, to help enable the reuse of vacant, contaminated, and underutilized land. So a lot of our work enables helping communities turn gas stations into community centers, landfills into parks. We work on all kinds of sites, and our issues that we deal with frequently include regulation, environmental cleanup and assessment, funding, community involvement. Our work really runs the gamut as far as creative land reuse goes. So it's really a pleasure to be with you here tonight. I have family in Columbia and have spent a lot of time in South Carolina for many years, but this is my first time on the coast, so it's really an honor to be here in Georgetown, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thanks.
Good evening, I'm Don Edwards. I'm the CEO of Justice and Sustainability Associates based in Washington, D.C. The work we do, and we'll be doing on the panel, is to design the process by which a constituency for development of this parcel and other parcels can emerge, and helping also to create some ground rules and processes for all of you to reach an agreement, a civic consensus about what should happen. I'm particularly happy to be here when there is so much opportunity and things are at the very beginning. And I'm especially happy because I was born, bred, and buttered right down the road in Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm happy.
Good evening. My name is Juanita Hardy, and I am the Senior Visiting Fellow for Creative Placemaking for ULI. And what that means is I'm working on an initiative to promote more art and cultural assets on real estate development projects in ways that contribute to the cultural and economic vibrancy of places. I'm delighted to be here. My roots are in the South. I was born and raised in North Carolina. Born in the mountains and grew up in the middle of the state, not far from Charlotte. And so it was a real pleasure to be here. I have a passion for art and for business, and that comes from 40 years in the business world, including 31 years with IBM, where I retired. And I have a deep passion for the arts that dates back to the 80s, where I started collecting art and serving on nonprofit art boards. I think this topic is vitally important, art and business, and how it can make a difference in communities, and I'm honored to be part of this and look forward to hearing from all of you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathleen Rose, and I'm the president of Rose & Associates, based in Davidson, North Carolina, which is just north of Charlotte. Our work with the panel in our everyday life is around assisting both public and private sector entities in the development of projects based upon land use strategy that understands the market realities as well as economic development goals from the community perspective. So our passion is around small towns and cities and helping them gain an identity of honoring their past while moving them into the future.
No relationship, by the way. Full disclosure.
He's West Coast, I'm East Coast.
West Coast.
Good evening. I'm Antonio Fio Silva. I'm a planner and an architect in Philadelphia. I'm from Concitio. And I can't pose as a local or semi-local, but I did get my cool pin, so I'm masquerading. I was a former public official and also been working in private sector with development. So one of the things I've been very involved is really bridging the gap between things and really just being a bridge. Working a lot on public-private partnerships. Also, in terms of my practice, I'm just very focused on placemaking, and one of my personal heroes, Mayor Rogers here, in terms of really creating a place, but really rooted in local culture. So it's particularly fascinating to be here because of that. And the other thing is, one of the things that we've done in a lot of my practice is the redevelopment of large and very difficult industrial sites, and one of them being a project called Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is at one point the largest steel mill in the country that got redeveloped over the years, and actually was a project you may have seen in EOLI.
Hello everyone, my name is John Banka. I am a partner at Colliers International, and I come to you this week from Warsaw, Poland, although I'm a native of Chicago and a graduate of Furman University upstate. When I came to Furman many years ago, I thought I needed a passport. But I left 4 years later with a really deep attachment for not only the upstate, but the low country. I spent an awful lot of time here for personal reasons. And my fondness for the place only grew with the separation over the years. At Colliers, well, I'll start with the beginning. I've been an economic development official in Chicago and the cities of New York. I've been a commercial broker dealing with investment properties with Colliers. And most recently, I've worked in development issues all over Europe. So I hope to bring all those skills to bear on this project, which is one of the more interesting situations I've seen in a place where I love. So I'm very looking forward to contributing to that.
Thank you, John. Good evening. My name is Ken Kay, and I am the founder of Ken Kay Associates. I am urban planner and a waterfront designer for over 30 years, located in San Francisco. And some of the projects that I've worked on that are similar to your town have been in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Riverwalk, also in Bend, Oregon. It's called the Old Mill District, where a couple of mills have shut down. Now these projects are 20 years old, 25 years old, and they are complete to this date. So I encourage you to stay with this, whatever the plan is, and I know you can build things incrementally, but this is a great opportunity for us to be involved with you, and we'll hopefully create a great vision that you can see through. Thank you very much.
And finally, I'm Jeff Koski. I come to you from Atlanta, Georgia, where I am a real estate market analyst with Blakely Advisory Group, as well as the president of the Atlanta chapter of the Congress for the New Urbanism. In those roles, I'm often in towns throughout the Southeast, dealing with difficult issues of redevelopment. Again, as a real estate market analyst, it's often, if you remember Economics 101, supply and demand of real estate, that's what I do. In addition to that, I have family in the Low Country, and so it is my great pleasure and honor that I get to spend a lot of time, not in Georgetown, but in the Low Country, so it's kind of baked into my blood over these years, and so I'm really happy to be here. And thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thanks, guys. And I'll also introduce our ULI-based staff. Paul, Catherine, you want to raise a quick wave to everybody there? As you can see, I'm very lucky as the chair, because we've got a very dedicated and very experienced and very on-point group of volunteers that I get to spend the week with, and I think you will benefit from their collective wisdom. So what's this week all about? It's really what I would break it down to three things. It's about listening, it's about assessing and discussing, and then it is about doing. So we got here last night, had an opportunity to meet with the sponsors, had an opportunity today to get a little bit deeper briefing and site tour, spend a wonderful evening with all of you tonight. And then tomorrow we are in day-long interviews to get even deeper into the subject. We then switch into the discussion and decision and recommendation mode over Wednesday and Thursday, where we take all of that and try and figure out what to do with it. On Friday morning, we will actually be presenting our final set of findings and recommendations. That report that we give on Friday, I would put it probably 95% complete. It takes us 90 to 120 days to actually go through technical editing and produce the finished product, but the actual content you will have Friday morning and be able to work with that starting Friday afternoon, which is of course our expectation of you, which leads to the third element of this week, which is the hard work. And that's what all of you do with the panel's work after we leave. And that really is the hard work. We provide a roadmap, hopefully an informed one, hopefully a creative one, hopefully one that in some cases confirms things that you've thought of, in some cases puts new things on the table, perhaps explains why things are challenged. But the real hard work is the community, and that's what this process is all about. We're here to start that roadway, and then, as I mentioned, there are 500 ULI members here in South Carolina to help you as you move down that path. So let me stop talking for a few minutes. I'd like to introduce somebody who is certainly very, very familiar to all of you in South Carolina, and that is the Honorable Mayor Joseph P. Riley Jr., Mayor of Charleston from 1975 to 2016. How you did that, Joe? Unbelievable, unbelievable. He is currently serving as a ULI Distinguished Visiting Fellow, so we are very pleased to have him in the ULI family, as well as a professor of American Government and Public Policy at Citadel. Now, Joe will no doubt have long forgotten this, but a number of years ago, I had the privilege of co-chairing a panel in Charleston, very similar to this, where we were looking at the Maybach corridor. And part of the prep for that and our work on site was the opportunity to sit down for a few minutes with Joe and kind of get his assessment of not only the opportunities that corridor presented and the challenges, but how to go about executing. And there were several very important takeaways that I had from that meeting that I now try and apply in all of my development work, and certainly the work that I do with communities, both where we're working and in communities like this. And Joe stressed the importance of a clear vision, the importance of persistence, the importance of patience, and the importance of more persistence. And I think it's a good framework and roadmap, not only for his remarks tonight, but what we will present to you on Friday. Joe?
Thank you very much, Alex. It looks like I took a long way around.
The important part is that you get here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alex, and the wonderful ULI panel members, elected officials, my former colleagues as serving in elected government, and friends. You know, since childhood, I've had relationships with Georgetown through friends of my families, my personal friends, and my college friends, and professional friends, and political friends. And my wife and I and my family spend a small amount of time at Pawleys Island in the summer. And my best friend in life and my former law partner, Capers Bar, who has friends here. So this community is very special to me, and I've watched it. I've watched it because I love the people of this community. But in the job that the citizens of Charleston were so kind to allow me to have, I had a chance to be a student of cities. I had to know my city and know it well, and work with the citizens on processes like this, and in that, to study other cities, cities in the countries and cities in the world. I didn't travel all over the world studying cities, but I'd read about them in every place I went. I'd look at what is going on, and so I could do a better job of working with the citizens of my city. And if you ask my former staff members what was one of Mayor Riley's major principles, tests, and they would say it was a 50 or the 100-year test. And that is so important. Every planning decision, every planning process, every building decision, I would ask myself, and I would ask those who work with me, does this pass the 50 or 100-year test? And what that test is 50 or 100 years from now, will the people in that neighborhood or this community, will they say, why in the world did they let this happen? Or would they say, isn't this wonderful? What wise and thoughtful people existed back then. You know, things don't happen automatically. History isn't automatic. People make history. People and their decisions and their hearts and their stick-to-itiveness or their vision make for communities. And that is why this is so exciting to me. I think this is the most exciting redevelopment opportunity in America. So many parts, so many things are working together with the consideration, in the consideration of the planning of this site. It's the water, which is magic. And no doubt, and the panel and you will help develop the plan, and I will do that. But obviously, any plan will have some component of the public realm. That is, it's not water that you can see. It's water that you touch. I don't mean that you go swimming in it every day. It's just that, as in any good park and public spaces where there's water, you get connected. The beauty of it, the change of it, the color of it, the activity, whatever it is, in whatever form, this water course, which is kind of remote, you see it as you go over the bridge, but it will be woven into the fabric of the city. And this plan will not just be for this particular site or adjacent site. This would be part of Georgetown City and Georgetown County. This would be part of South Carolina. It will not be fenced off. It will be integrated and included. Every citizen who lives here, or those who visit here, will feel connected and feel that they're a part of it. It is, people would ask me, and we would, you know, with whatever redevelopment challenges we had in Charleston, whether the Charleston Place, the Waterfront Park, or whatever else, people would say, boy, Joe, you really worked hard, you really stuck with it, and all of that, and I know that was hard. And I would say, you know what the hardest part was? And they'd say, the hardest part was working on the vision in the plan. The making sure that you got it right. And that is the hardest work, and that's why this meeting tonight and what is happening this week in your community is so important. And that is why these amazing 10 people with huge amounts of experience and knowledge, why their presence here is so important, working with you to make sure that you get it right, that you get that 50, 100-year vision. And this will be South Carolina's, this won't be Georgetown plan, this will be South Carolina's plan. In many ways, it will be our country. People will come to know what this amazing redevelopment did and what it achieved. And then for the elected officials who are here tonight, and my dear friend Jack and others, and those who follow you, then the requirement is you stick with it. It's not going to happen overnight. You don't let bad things happen. You don't let the high aspirations of the vision wither because of time. It will take time. You work and you develop this and let the communities and the governments adopt it. Then you stamp on it. This belongs to the future of this community. And we're going to stick with it. Now, I'm 73, so I won't get to see the fulfillment of this plan. And that's quite hard. But what I can see and so excitedly imagine tonight is in this beautiful part of this beautiful state and this growing and robust part of America, that there will be created in somewhat forlorn series of spaces something that is truly world-class and that will enrich the lives of everyone who lives here and everyone who comes to visit. There's no opportunity like this in America. And you're so lucky in Georgetown, and we're so lucky in South Carolina to have it. So I wish you well, the panel, and you dear citizens of this community, in developing the wisest, most thoughtful, 100-year past test for this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. And if any of you don't believe that Joe will be around to see the vision executed, I have a bridge that I want to sell you. You're not going anywhere. Wise counsel as always. Thank you, sir. So let me tell you what we're going to do for the next hour. Again, we're here, as Joe said, and as I said earlier, to undertake the most important part of our week, which is to hear from you. It is vital to the work that the panel does that it understands the questions that are running around in your minds, the ideas that you have for not only the steel mill site, but the broader waterfront, and as Joe mentioned, as it leads into the greater city of Georgetown, concerns that you have. Because that is what we will work on over the next several days leading up to Friday. I know that there has been a concerted effort to solicit opinions online. That is still ongoing with both the city and the county's website and Facebook pages. We encourage you to continue to support that effort. There were blue index cards handed out at the beginning or available at the beginning. We encourage you to complete those. And we are going to include reference to all of that in a very specific appendix in the final report. It's part of what, those are the types of things that takes us a while to pull together and get there. But the important part of that is that this report is not just the collective wisdom of the fine people sitting up here, but really it's a mirror of what we heard from you. And it's very important that in that report, which will be used as that long-term blueprint vision to guide your discussions and your decision-making as you go forward, that people are able to go back and say, this is what the community said, not just what ULI said. So encourage you to continue to submit those. We will be looking at those and considering those in our discussions over the next couple of days. But this evening is also an opportunity to share with us other thoughts that you have. We just got here, so as smart as we all think we are, we don't know a whole lot. We are still in the learning and listening stage. So the point of this evening is not a back and forth dialogue, but it is one that is an opportunity for the panel to take note of those concerns and issues and things that you think we need to take a look at. So they will be doing that over the next hour. We have 3 roving mics. Paul is there, and T is here, and Brian is in the back. So we encourage you to wave your hand. And we need to hear from you. And as Joe said, this is the most critical part is the community participation and the input. So I will be the bad guy. Let me ask real quickly, how many people would like to speak? I'm not a math major, but I just want to make sure we get around to everybody and have an opportunity. So, okay, see if you, okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we welcome you all to Georgetown. I know the gentleman here said you just gotten here, but what I would really like to ask is how long have you been here, and have you seen Georgetown from the air and from the water, besides from the roads? Thank you.
We have from the water. If anyone wants to volunteer an airplane, we can take an airplane ride tomorrow or the day after.
I don't have an airplane, but I think it's a great idea.
Yes, sir.
The property where the steel mill is located has variously been used for the shipping and fishing industries, cotton and rice exportation processing, lumber mills, paper mill, steel mill. One of the concerns I know that a lot of folks have raised over the past 50 years has been the environmental impact of that combination. And the jobs that all of these industries have brought have been excellent for the community, but the environmental pollution that has been the byproduct has not been. I think that is something we would need to pay close and critical attention to. And there's a lot of discussion that if y'all can come up with a response for us in this plan as to whether brownfield reclamation would need to be done and to what extent, and how is funding made available or raised from local sources, however that would go. Those would be big pluses for us to learn.
Very good. We will make sure we touch on that. Good. And as a side, the good news, and this is something that I usually say on Friday, but it's applicable tonight, and hopefully it provides some level of comfort to you. I think everyone on the panel would tell you, whether it's the environmental aspect of this project, the planning aspect, the visioning aspect, the economic development aspect, it should give Georgetown some great deal of comfort that these circumstances appear and have appeared in cities across the United States and increasingly globally many, many times. And it's one of the reasons that this process works so well, because we are able to, as a panel, we're able to draw from what has taken place in other communities, adapted to the unique circumstances here, depending on what the issue is, and apply it. So, the discussion of environmental condition and funding and how you deal with that, we don't have to recreate the wheel. So, thank you for raising the point and giving me that opportunity. Next.
Hi, I'm Lucy Woodhouse, and I'm the director of Black River United Way, but also co-chair of the long-term flood recovery. And one of the biggest things that we've learned in this disaster is that it puts a microscope on what your community's issues are. And one of them has been identified as low-income housing and substandard housing. But through this process, we've really, the state did a study and showed that the social vulnerability of Georgetown County is very, very high. And our ability to recover from a disaster is almost nil based on the numbers and the statistics they have. And I'm lucky enough, I'm going to get to talk to y'all tomorrow, and I'm going to bring that study to you. But what we've learned is the ability of our community to provide resources quickly to respond to those needs. And so hopefully, I just want to idea that please be aware of the social vulnerability of this community and the lack of resources and policy and things to help us react and to do things and make things happen when we know that there are problems. So help in that sort of era, and I guess that would be policy, that would also be identifying resources that we don't have in certain areas in our community. Has been a huge red flag thing that we've learned in the last year in this recovery. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, hi. I'm concerned about the zoning that is going to take place, because over the last 70 years, or even better, that people on this side of town get nothing. Everything's here to change. Downtown changes, the whole place changes. We don't even have the proper sidewalk here for the last 70 years. And to build something of this magnitude, I actually know it is going to affect here, because the zoning, the taxes, and everything is going to change here. And the people on this side of Georgetown is not making a whole lot of the money. So now we are actually here to be practicing in our own demise, because if we build this building and don't do nothing here for us here, then it is pushing us farther and farther away from Georgetown, and I've seen it done too many times. That all of these buildings come with tax bases change, and the people cannot pay it. So it is gentrification in a very nice way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The one thing I didn't do at the outset is I didn't repeat our mission. ULI is a mission-driven organization, and part of that mission addresses and commits us as members to helping to create thriving communities. And community is a broad term, and not looking at a community holistically is not only what these folks don't do, it is not the character of the organization. So I appreciate your comments and know that that will be a big part of our discussion.
Good evening. Take a
gentleman that just mentioned, primarily one of the major crucial concerns of Georgetown County is economic development. And with the panel, we would analyze first which way we're going to do it. We can come up with a plan as to the development of the site. When we look at the need of, look at the situation of median income, and if you talk about developing condominiums, hotels, upscale motels, upscale restaurants, boutiques, etc., is that going to be a continuation of the hotel service industry from Myrtle Beach that continues here? Now, Georgetown County borders Charleston County, Dorchester County, and Berkeley County. 2 months ago, you had the groundbreaking with Mercedes, adding an additional 1,500 employees. You have Dorchester County with Boeing, 9,100 employees and growing. Come November, Volvo comes to Berkeley County. When they start off, they're going to have 2,500 employees, and in 2 to 3 years, hope to double that figure. Now, you consider median income, you can build the structures, but what will average wages do? Will it be a continuation? If you're talking about increasing and improving the condition and livabilities for all people in Georgetown County, we have a many increase of jobs, but at middle or lower income situation. Are we talking about increasing median income that's comparable to surrounding counties? So this is just one of the things that is my concern, that if we're talking about improving the livability for people in Georgetown County, we need to look at things that are happening around us. We hear in the media everything going on in Charleston County, North Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley. So I hope that would be a consideration to increase people's potential and their livability here in Georgetown County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Sheldon Lutz. I'm city councilman here in Georgetown. I left Georgetown 24 years ago and just came back 2 years ago. And there's definitely a generational gap in the city of Georgetown and the county of Georgetown. The millennials are very apathetic about coming back home to be a part of the city. And then Generation X actually find it hard to find a reason to want to stay. And I would ask that the panel would actually ensure that you are able to address making or allowing it feasible for our younger generation to come back, because as we know, the torches that are held by so many for so many years eventually have to be passed on. So I'm very much interested in making sure that the millennials and Generation X have a valued interest in coming back and or staying in Georgetown. Thank you.
I'm going to break my own rule. So let me ask you, if I might, what brought you back? Why did you return? Sorry to put you on the spot, but...
No problem. I was in the military and I worked for the federal government in Washington, D.C. I got tired of the fast life and just wanted to get back to everything being slow. And so I decided to come back home here to Georgetown. I was homesick after 24 years. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. One of my greatest concerns is if we are thinking about a 100-year, 50-year plan, and this is a coastal site right on the water, sea level rise and climate change will have to be considered for what are the changes that are going to be there? Are people going to be living there? Is it going to be a flood-prone area? And with that, along the coastline, restoration of the natural environment and the natural, the plant life that can help with pollution reduction and elimination, protecting both the water quality and our health, and related to health with knowing and disclosing any pollutants of concern to the community, I think is vitally important that we, transparency in the pollution for public health reasons is exceedingly important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lauren Joseph. I'm the Tourism Marketing Director for the county, but I'm not going to talk to you about tourism until tomorrow. One thing that I want you to be aware of is the working waterfront of Georgetown is so important, and we have one of the only surviving working waterfronts on the coast. Even up in Merle's Inlet, development has run out a lot of the working waterfront. There isn't a waterfront fish market there now or anything like that. They have to go down with trucks to pick up the fish and take it back to the fish market. So that's a big part of the character of our town, and I think it's really important that we don't let development run it out.
Some other folks that
My name is Norma Grant.
My name is Norma Grant. I've recently moved back. This is my hometown. I've been here now for 13 years after retirement. I'm also a member of Georgetown County's Planning Commission. My concern is that I'm hoping that we'll have that industrial park, or what you want to call it, that area, built up where it would attract more tourists to help us economically. Our residential areas are having problems with high taxes because many businesses have been turned down in terms of wanting to come here in Georgetown to help us economically. And I'm just hoping that whenever you come up with an answer or some type of idea, please try to include all of those categories to help us here, as those are helped in Orion County. They have several businesses there, and they are just improving every day. And please think of that. I think you have a beautiful panel there that can help us in all categories.
we are certainly going to try. Down here, Chief.
Good evening. My name is Al Joseph. I'm a member of City Council. I'm sure you will hear this many times over the next couple of days, but I want to make sure that it gets out there. One of the things that has to be focused on with this redevelopment is our youth. One of the biggest complaints in the city of Georgetown is there is nothing for young people to do. That has to be part of the focus. We have to think about that. We have to incorporate that into these plans. They have to be remembered and thought about when we do this, and ideas for them have to be included, as well as green space. I'm sure you'll hear that a lot over the next couple of days, but I want to make sure that gets out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over here, and then right where Paul is. Then over here.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Patterson, and Georgetown's my hometown. I returned after leaving from 20 years, and I returned 2 years ago. And just to piggyback off Councilman Butts and the other councilmen, I really hope that whatever you guys come up with or decide, that somehow the youth is involved. Returning back to Georgetown, I've had the opportunities to live in Atlanta, East Coast, West Coast. I've lived abroad, so I've lived in many cities, small and big. And I see a lot of potential in this town. That's one of the reasons why I returned and why I came back. And I just hope that whatever you decide to do with the steel mill property, I'm also a product of a steel mill. My grandfather worked for that steel mill. I would really like to see some type of mixed-use development, whether it be residential, commercial, some green space, park, and really to just kind of expand on the harbor walk that we already have. Georgetown is a wonderful place, third oldest city in South Carolina, And we have a lot of tourism that travels on Highway 17 from Charleston to Myrtle Beach. So I would like to see that city reflect into that.
Very good, thank you. Down here.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Green. I'm also one of the individuals who left Georgetown in 1993 and returned back home in recent years. I have mixed feelings about the property usage because, like Joshua, my father also worked at the steel mill. And I know that industry has been an economic resource for our area for many, many years. At the same time, I've lived in cities like Columbia and Charlotte where they incorporate things like the art, education, and two things that I want to see. I know that the railroad still has the right of way going through that steel mill, so I'm not sure how we're going to address that. But I like the Market Commons area, or if you've been in Columbia, the Sand Hills area. Both of those areas have two things: a movie theater, they have residential as well as shopping space. And I believe if you have something like that on the waterfront, it's definitely going to attract tourists. However, at the same time, those are minimum wage jobs. So that's why I'm torn, because we definitely need more economic resources, but we need to find a way that individuals like the gentleman said back here are actually benefiting from those resources. And I'm also going to be with you tomorrow and we'll dig further into that.
And why did you come back?
Well, I have a daughter and she's 17 now. We moved back her 9th grade year. And to be honest with you, she's deaf in one ear. So at the time we lived in Charlotte, her high school had 2,000 students. So I wanted to also come back home where I was closer to family and where she'd have better resources, smaller classrooms, things of that nature to better her education. And we have a great education system here in Georgetown. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for the Board of Education, because I want to also continue to improve upon what we already have, so that 100 years from now, we're the best in the country.
Very good. Thank you so much. Over here.
Hello, my name is Janet Pion, and I'm one that never left Georgetown. I'm still here. But what I want to say is, I want to talk about the sentimental value of Georgetown, because I live right on Gilbert Street, and Gilbert Street looks directly at the steel mill. I remember when I was a child, we can look down there, we can see the water, we can even feel the breeze from the water in our neighborhood. And that's not happening anymore. But what I want to see happen is to have something there that's productive, as well as have it really beautiful. Because this town, as many of us said, they've moved back home, they've come back, and it's much easier for them to live here. But then we got to have something here that would bring some of the others back home. The economical value of jobs is just not right. We want some of these people to come home. Our parents educated us, and they didn't educate us to go somewhere else and do the things that they're doing. We can do that right here at home and make Georgetown a much better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Back in the middle.
Hey, my name is Andrew Parker, and I'm one of the millennials that actually moved back to Georgetown after a long time. But it'd be nice to see a work, live, and environment, and then if we can incorporate CCU to open up a larger satellite campus or something like that, that would actually bring people here in Mr. Dublin College that might want to stay. That'd be an easy way to get in there.
before you leave. So I'm going to ask you the opposite type of question. What attracted you here? Why did you come here?
The water. A lot of fishes.
Down here.
Okay, hi. I'm not really good at this public speaking. My face is probably going to get really red. But I want to know what's going to keep the youth here. And I want to not just have something to bring them back, but to keep them here permanently and spend their young adult life here but I also want to keep the space to where it's local. And I don't want people to just stay here because it's where our family's from. But I want people to come from the outside and not just because of the water. I want to have some other reason for the people to want to come here. But I want to keep it local.
Thank you. Back on the wall.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Vick, and I'm also a Georgetown native. My mom was born and raised here. But the one question I have, we just had my high school 30-year class reunion. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out good. We had 25 people that came back. And one of the reasons why they didn't came back is because of the social life and not being able to find things to do. As in us having a class reunion, having a nice place to have, us just come back and sit down and sit and talk. We had to settle on going to a small bar, and then we proceeded from there. But the main question is, what I was thinking is, we need to make Georgetown a place that people would love to come see. And that district over there where the steel mill is at is a beautiful area because you have to come past there to see everything. So something that would bring jobs is very important, but also even with you having jobs, you have to have a social life. And if you don't have a social life to be able to get out and communicate with people, then we'll never know what kind of questions that other people have. So that was my main issue on what's going on with the steel mill.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Alicia McGants. Question, we keep talking about redevelopment and adding space and things across the street. My question is more so for those areas coming on this side, say they have a street, the other streets. There's going to have to be a need for parking. So my question is eminent domain. When we need parking, we need these things. What's going to happen to those people who live here, those businesses that are here, that are going to need for that space? I just want to make sure that we ensure that we have their best interests at heart.
Very good. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Miller. I'm chairman of the Architectural Review Board in Georgetown. I moved down about 10 years ago. A concern I have, I'm sure we all know, there's only, the old truism goes, there's only one opportunity to make a first impression. The gateways into this community are terrible. The skyline, the smokestacks, as you come up Highway 17 or down Highway 17, the steel mill is only one of the issues. The paper mill has provided jobs and is a part of the economy here. But there are a huge number of people that pass on Highway 17, Georgetown, and never stop. They never get the opportunity or take the opportunity, and the city's done some things, the county's done some things to direct traffic in. We have a truly unique historic district that I tell people I expect to see Andy and Opie walking down the street whistling. People that stop in and see the Comiskey House, fall in love with it, say they won't come back. There is rich history in this community, both black and white. But that, I think, one of the big drawbacks that Georgetown, challenges that Georgetown is facing is the steel mill is just one part. And it's a place that gives us a great opportunity. But probably the most attractive potential gateway this community has is the Intercoastal Waterway. I'm a sailor. There is no reason that we can't find a way to make Georgetown, Solomon's Island, St. Michael's, a port of call on the inland waterway. That's a huge issue, a huge opportunity. The history in this community and surrounding is fascinating, and we don't leverage it. There is a historian coming to Georgetown next month that's doing a 3-day seminar The Swamp Fox lived here. They're doing a walking tour, and we're not doing anything to capture that, so we can attract tourists with it. Fortunately, I have the opportunity to elaborate on this and a number of other things tomorrow. I'm on the group. But I did want to bring that to the gateway issues are very important and a huge challenge for you to help us overcome.
Very good. Thank you. Paul?
Good evening. My name is Pat Gregory. And, I'm sorry, nobody had
Whichever you want to go.
My name is Mary Cotton. I was born and raised here. I left in 56.
Can you, excuse me, ma'am, can you? Yeah, there you go. Go. Want to make sure we can hear you. There we go.
My name is Mary Cotton. I'm born and raised here. I came back, left here in 56, came back in 09. I wondered about the steel mill because what about you're going to rezone, right? You may have talked about this already, but I wonder how far you're going to rezone. I mean, and I wondered when you dismantle it, is the steel company going to help do some of it to keep that building? Or do we have to pay for it all? And I'm kind of worried about the area between Fraser Street and Merriman Road. And I wonder how high your tax is going to be. And when you remodel it, or do whatever you're going to do with it, are you going to hire some African-American contractors? And there are things like that I'm wondering about.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Pat Gregory, and I'm a comedian that's been here for a very long time. And Georgetown, I hope that the panel considers a lot of things, because I can remember what the steel mill did to the houses surrounding the steel mill. And when you do consider the mixed uses, consider jobs, because we have so many of our people traveling to Myrtle Beach. We would like to keep them right here in Georgetown. And the streetscape, when you incorporate that, make it a showplace. Not only the streetscape, but from the water, make it a showplace. And as the gentleman said, when people come through Georgetown, they won't think about stopping. They can't help themselves. They have to stop. But consider those things. Make it what Charleston has done with their waterfront, because I've been down there, and it's just so spectacular that when you go in, you don't want to leave. You're there all day long. So we want to keep them in Georgetown, the tourists. We don't want them to just pass through. We want them to stay here for a little while. I thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Alma White, and I was really reluctant to speak because I'm a part of the focus group, and I've heard other people standing up on the focus group. I think I can go ahead and speak, but you might hear the same thing tomorrow when I sit to talk.
That's quite okay.
Yes. Here's what I want you all to take into consideration. Some has already been addressed with the jobs. But when we do the planning and you say it's 150 acres, all we see is the steel mill. I'm talking about going back there under the bridge where all the docks and everything. There's a lot of acres back there. My brother, Eric Carolina, spoke about what's going on in Berkeley County, Bowens and Volvo. I know that's not your job as a part of the planning, but when we start city officials, economic development, looking at businesses to bring in, we know that tourists is going to be that's what it is. But you have to have some type of businesses. I don't know whether it's going to be in technology. I don't know. But in 1969, when they built the steel mill, it created, it added to a middle class group of people. They didn't have to be, have PhD degrees, or they just had to be hardworking people. Somebody up there talking about coming from, I don't know, Pittsburgh or someplace. That's what the people want around here. They want to make a decent living where they can take care of their families, and they want to drive a nice car and have a nice house like everybody else. But if everything is centered around tourism and the low economic community continues to only get the jobs as the dishwashers or the people working in the back, we are never going to be able to do and live the way they used to live when they had the jobs at the steel mill, where those men and some women who graduated from high school, and I was teaching school, and they were probably making twice the amount of money that I was making as a school teacher. And they were living better than me. And so we want some of those kinds of economic development type jobs to be incorporated in the plan. And then also, and again, I'm talking to the panel because you're the ones who will be dealing with the leadership, city, economic development. When you look at the African American community, and that's not so much to say one against the other, but you know, we get along well, very well here in Georgetown County, always have. We want to be an integral part of reaping some of the economic benefits. You know, we want the bankers or the financial community to feel comfortable enough as they do with other people when we walk in there, because we have an idea for a business that we want to, you know, involve ourselves in to help benefit from some of the tourism dollars. Now, you know, other people can have a really, really bad credit report and still get millions of dollars of loans. But I have to have a squeaky, clean credit just to get enough money to buy a house. So, you know, we don't want to be pushed out of it. Everything that was said, it was all good in terms of, you know, having the kind of amenities and things that would keep tourists or want them to tarry a while with us. But as people who actually live here, not passing through, we really want to be able to reap some of that benefit as we develop along that waterfront.
We understood.
Wait a minute, one more thing.
I just want to make sure all
I'm going to make sure everybody else get their chance. You're going to help me do that. But when that plan, whatever we come up with for development along the water, and that's what we have always been concerned about when the Walkable Neck community was being developed. We cannot just close up everything to only those who are able to build either hotels or whatever, and the public can no longer enjoy the waterfront because we don't own the property and we can't get there anymore. Okay, so keep that
Hello.
Tiki.
Hi, I'm Faith Dyer, and I moved here about 2 years ago. So I'm originally from Ohio and Virginia. And somebody asked me, why didn't you choose Georgetown? I mean, they're like, where's Georgetown? So I told all my friends that Georgetown is halfway between Myrtle Beach, which is totally tourist, and beautiful Charleston. And in my 2 years here, what I have seen is that, yes, it still remains beautiful Charleston with a lot of new industry, and it still remains Myrtle Beach full of tourists. I would really, really like to see some of that business from Charleston head up this way. I think, in my mind, looking ahead 50 years, as Mayor Joe Riley said, I think we're going to see a lot of people wanting to move into Georgetown. And I'm saying this because everything that I hear on TV, which we all know is gospel truth, but everything that I hear coming out of the Charleston news stations is that you can't afford to live in Mount Pleasant. You can't afford hardly to live in North Charleston. And you certainly can't afford to live in Charleston. So where are the people going to go? They're going to head up this way. So I can see that there's going to be a lot of people moving into this area. On the other end, Pawleys Island, pricey. And heading up north to Myrtle Beach is pricey. And I really think people are starting to move down this way. We're starting to see developments along 17 up there. Come on, you know? So people are coming here. What we need to have is, as these other people said, we need to have some economic development. We need to have things that keep our graduate students here. We have a great technical school down here. We do have Coastal Carolina, which of course has the #1 baseball team. I'm a big Chanticleer fan. Anyway, so I think we need to draw on those to help us get business in here and to keep business in here. And I'd love to participate any way I could to help out. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last sentence was the best part. Participation in the middle there.
Another thing to expand on the business is it'd be nice if there's a focus on infrastructure, especially high-speed internet, to help attract some startup companies or stuff like that, especially technology.
Thank you. Ryan?
Good evening. My name is Adam Hall, and I opened up a restaurant on Front Street almost a year ago. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it kind of helped paint a picture. And I'm not throwing Brian or King in the bus here. But in the week before we opened, I only had 250 job applications to give out. I was out in that first week before we opened. I had people writing their name and number and availability on scraps of paper. I still get 3 or 4 a week at this point. So we're probably at 500 or 600 in the drawer. I mean, that's the job situation in Georgetown. And I'm excited that we have the Land Institute involved. I think it's great. Obviously, we're hopefully going to establish a vision and a direction and somewhere to go. And a 100-year plan is great. You know, hopefully my grandkids will enjoy Georgetown. But I'm hoping that in the planning process that we address, you know, what this plan involves 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, that there's incremental change in a positive way in Georgetown, that we're not all putting our eggs in this basket for the grandkids to enjoy, because we have needs now. And hopefully there's a way this plan will incorporate, we can bring in some new jobs, bring people in this community along, but get them involved in this plan, because, I mean, you know, every job that gets created is hopefully another lunch somebody goes and buys at a local restaurant. If we open up a new section of town that has a whole bunch of restaurants right now, all they're going to do is move the people that can afford to eat out to a different part of town to go do that. Let's make more lunches.
Thank you. Down here.
How you doing? My question is more a question for you. I forgot your name was. But as far as creating jobs and all of the work that you've done so far with the art, how can we get younger generations to be interested in the first place, to make it to them? And two, the developments that you did do so far, what's the most common denominator as far as longevity in jobs? Because we can work and tear the building down, then what?
Very good. Thank you. Paul?
Hi, I'm grew up in Georgetown, came back to retire, and I share many of the concerns that people already expressed here, especially having to do with a variety of good-paying jobs. It's such an important thing. But I know that a huge chunk of whatever happens with that site is probably going to go towards tourism, or at least attracting people to come into town instead of just driving through. And that's I just want to make one observation, and that is that we are between Charleston and Myrtle Beach, but we are not Charleston, and we're not Myrtle Beach. We are unique in that we do have history, just like Charleston. We have entertainment, water sports, so all of that stuff that people go to Myrtle Beach for. But we also have a thriving arts community that could be developed, and I would love to see cultural activities, and especially the universities, being involved somehow in whatever happens on the site.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jim Laurel, and the only question I had is, aren't we putting a carpet for the horse here since we don't own the property right now, the waterfront? And if we don't obtain the property, what are we going to do? Are you guys going to address that problem?
Yeah, the answer to your question is yes, it is certainly part of our discussion. Paul?
Yes, sir. My name is Richard Butts. I'm a transplant here 43 years ago. I've made my living off the waterfront as a longshoreman. You don't have the unions not here anymore. Everything is rolled out of Charleston. Georgetown, besides the Port of Charleston, Georgetown is the only deep water port left beside Charleston. The port in Port Royal and Beaufort, that's gone. I think when it went in the market, I think it took 48 or 72 hours and it was sold to some big financier out of New York. But in everything I'm hearing, I'm not hearing anybody saying that the maritime industry is included in this. Period. I haven't heard a thing about it. You know, there's a deep water dock over there. There's 2 docks, 3 docks in Georgetown. They're 31, 32, and 31A. I haven't heard anybody say anything about industry trying to keep the waterfront open. And my second question is the state courts involved in this in anywhere? Has any input come from the South Carolina State Coast Authority? There is a port in Mississippi that all it caters to is certain ships of certain tonnage, small vessel ships. They tried, and they have 5, 6 ships a weekend in that port. Georgetown is unique. We would qualify for that, but we don't have the water. We will never have the water. We can't compete with the Port of Charleston. They're the 8th largest port in the country. They're going to 55 feet. We don't have 27 feet. We have 22 feet at the dock. That's the most we have. And I just wanted to ask if anybody had considered including the maritime industry in South Carolina state ports in any of this discussion.
The answer is yes. We will be talking to representatives of that industry. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Boyer. I'm the Lackawanna River Keeper with Winona Rivers Foundation. And I am very glad that right up front, the concerns over legacy contamination were brought up, and concerns over public health and the environmental health of this area, because we know that's why one of the major selling points of this area is our environment. But this is a little bit of a question more than voicing something I want considered. What can we expect from the plan in regards to, say, the timeline, or what the plan is going to be suggesting for the, the addressing things like legacy contamination? Do you suggest a timeline, or is it laid out? I know it's something you said that's been you've done before, and I'm very glad that we have people with that sort of experience coming in to advise us with what is really coming up and what would be suggested.
Part of our deliverable on Friday, depending on what our assessment and our recommendations are, will always include an action plan with timelines. We don't believe part of this process is, we don't believe in coming, studying, interacting, assessing, and then saying, go solve it yourself. You don't need us for that.
Great, thank you.
But I would stress, one thing as we close here, and that is a lot of questions and a lot of comments and a lot of concern expressed about the plan that we're going to present. I would hearken back to my own comments at the beginning as well as Mayor Riley's. It's not our plan. This will be the community of Georgetown's plan. The community of Georgetown will formulate it, will debate it, will execute it. What we're here to do is take the expertise and experience that we've had in similar situations and provide the community with, after having listened and having taken into account the concerns that expressed tonight and other things that we'll hear in the coming days, and give you a roadmap to creating that plan. And we may give you many roadmaps and many options to think about. But as I said at the beginning, this is a three-part process, and the third part is the hard work that each of you and your neighbors and your fellow community stakeholders will do. I think we will give you some good roadmaps, we'll give you some good ideas, but I can't stress it enough. Make no mistake, it will be your plan. It will be what you and the community, your fellow community members believe is the right answer for Georgetown and the right execution path. And hopefully we can, as I said, give you some guideposts along the way.
Thank you. I like that. That's a good answer.
Yes, sir. Down here.
One correction. A lot of people don't realize it, but Georgetown does have a movie theater, a cinema. So weekend theater, and it's put together by volunteers, and most of the volunteers are not from Georgetown. Most of the volunteers are from between here and Polly's, or up in Polly's, or even further north. But they decided on Georgetown because we have a beautiful theater. It was available between theatrical plays, and it's been going for 3 years, I believe. We saw 2 good movies last night, Saturday night and Friday night, and it shows in the afternoon also. So there were like 12 people there, and it's still going because we pay in advance every year, so we get it $1 cheap. So we can walk 2 blocks to a cinema, and for $10 we can both see it. We can sit on the sidewalk, drink coffee, talk about the movie.
For $10?
Just like we were in
$10 for 2 hours.
Or New York.
I'm coming.
I mean, these delightful nights, and you can just sit on the sidewalk and talk about the theater.
I think we have time for 2 more, one back here and one over there.
Hi, I'm Terry Hendricks, and I just want to express my concern that I hope the panel addresses with the plan, new growth, and new people coming into the community, traffic issues. Charleston and Mill Beach are in gridlock, and I hope y'all consider those communities, and if Georgetown is to expand and grow, that the traffic issues and the infrastructure with the roads is also considered in the plan.
Ross, it's all on you. We will, thank you. And last.
I'm George Jones. I live 1 block over on Hazard Street. My concern is about my neighbors. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks to You know, and I've been at an international paper company for 38 years, so I'm doing pretty good. But I got a lot of people in the neighborhood who are runners. And I got a lot of people that's elderly, and I'd like the committee to consider the neighborhood and how they can improve it and make it better for us. Another thing, somebody mentioned traffic. The traffic on the street is ridiculous. And we have a lot of children. I remember when I first moved there were 3 kids getting on the bus going to school. Now there's two or three buses coming through and they're loaded going. And my concern is if one of these kids run out of the street, these people driving 45, 50 miles an hour through a neighborhood. Consider that for me, please. Consider my neighbors, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Well, thank you all.
There's a young lady here in the front who's been raising her hand.
Oh, I missed it.
Raising her hand. Nobody's seen her.
Yeah, she's a
Maybe we end with the youngs.
I like the idea of ending with the youngs.
A lot of people have lost their jobs.
As I said, the panel cannot thank you enough for being here, for expressing your passion for your community. It is very evident. It is not empty words that go into our process and into a black hole. These are the things that not only as a panel, but I can tell you as land use professionals in all of our different markets and disciplines that attracted us to ULI as an organization, because it's those types of things and many more things that we will take a look at that define community and define sustainable communities and thriving communities. So this has been very, very important and valuable input from all of you. Even though we only had the limited amount of time tonight, as I said, the city and the county website and Facebook pages are still on. There are the blue cards, and we will be looking at all of that. And we will be considering all of that input. So keep the information coming. And as I will charge you again on Friday, remember that we're giving you a guidepost. It's the passion and the concern and the love of community that each of you hold dear and each of you express that is going to take you from Friday and the guideposts that we give you and turn Georgetown in a direction that is of your making and where you want it to be for your families and your neighbors and your friends, and your children and your grandchildren. So we thank you again for the privilege of spending a week with you. We look forward to seeing some of you over the next couple of days, and we look forward to seeing all of you on Friday morning. Thanks again.